Any other witnesses from the defense, or state, excuse me?
Thank you, Judge. At this time, the state has no further witnesses and would rest its case.
Okay. And okay, hold on one second. And then, Mr. Nelson, do you need a moment?
No, Judge. The defense rests.
Right. With that, ladies and gentlemen, the evidentiary part of the trial is now concluded. You're probably sitting here saying to yourself, so what do we do the rest of the day? Because we have a number of things we want to do, and just to be frank, I'm afraid by the time we were done with those things and you start deliberating, we'd already be in the evening or late afternoon. And I want to give you as much time to be able to do this. I prefer to have you come back at 8:30 on Monday. And what we would then do is do final instructions and closing arguments. And then you'll have the entire day to deliberate, or whatever time you need to deliberate, by the way. What that means is that obviously it's sort of what I started talking about yesterday, which is you'll be done now, you'll have the weekend off. I would, again, try to not think about the case in the sense that you do not make this something you're thinking about all weekend. Come back, you'll look at your notes, you'll look at the evidence once we do the final instructions, and then you start to deliberate. It's going to be, hopefully people will understand if they say, hey, how was this week, or, how you feel. You can say fine or not, of course, but what happened, of course, please don't answer that question. And please don't avoid any type of news or anything if you're curious. And again, I remind you, please don't post what you're doing. Not that I'm worried you will, but it's just something we have to say. It's just very, very important right now during this weekend that you not communicate anything about what's happening at all. If something does come up, let us know. Let the clerk's office know. Of course, Terry and Jim will help you out. Where's Jim? Is he right there? Oh, he's right there. He's hiding right over there. Couldn't see him there for a second. I know. If you have any questions, ask them. Obviously, if there's if suddenly your house floods, let us know. Hopefully that won't happen, and we'll go from there. All right. All right. Have a good weekend, everyone. Do you have it? Oh, yeah. Jim? I'll go close it. You can sit. All right. So as we talked about, what I'm going to do is to do the colloquy with the, go ahead.
We just deal with that sidebar.
I was going to do this first and then deal with the sidebar next, just because I want to make sure we have this done. As per agreement, we agreed that the way we would conclude is the way we did. Is that correct, Attorney Nelson?
Yeah. Yes, Judge. You graciously allowed me to say the defense rests prior to doing the colloquy. That was my request, and it was based upon my conversations with Nya, in which We've had at length, and he's told me that he intends to assert his right to remain silent and thus waive his constitutional right to testify.
Right. So it's a little bit after the fact, Mr. Thao. I just want to make sure, if we had to, we'd have to go run and grab all the jurors if you don't believe this. But it's my understanding that you you understand that you have a right to testify.
Yep.
Do you also understand you have a right not to testify?
Yes.
Do you understand the decision whether to testify is for you to make?
Yes.
Has anyone made threats or promises to you to influence your decision?
No.
Have you discussed the decision whether to testify or not with your attorney?
Yes.
Have you made a decision?
Yes.
And what was that decision?
Not invoke my fifth.
I believe he began to say not to testify,
not-
and then
not
he
to
switched
testify.
and said, invoke my fifth. So
Okay.
tell the judge what you want to do.
Not to testify.
All right. And just because there's a little bit of a wrinkle in how we procedurally did this, was that your decision before Mr. Nelson rested?
Yes.
Okay. And then, Mr. Nelson, have you had sufficient opportunity to thoroughly discuss this case and the decision with Mr. Thao?
Judge, I was just confirming with Nya his waiver of attorney-client privilege regarding that matter, and yes, he has given me permission to tell Your Honor that, yes, we spoke about it in 2023, made the same choice in 2023. We've since spoke about it over the course of, preparing for this trial, and during this week, we spoke about it, and he has consistently told me what he told the court, and that is he wants to assert his Fifth Amendment right to remain silent and give up his right to testify.
The other question I have for you is, do you believe this decision is knowingly, intelligently, and voluntarily made?
Like I said, he's given me the exact same answer every time we talked about it.
Oh, okay. So what the court will find is that Mr. Thao did know before the defense rested that he had a constitutional right to testify. He also understood he had a constitutional right not to testify, that he understood that that decision was for him to make. I realized I just forgot one question. Were there any threats or promises, Mr. Thao, at all, if for testifying or not testifying? I forgot to ask you that.
No.
Okay. So obviously there were no threats or promises. He discussed it with his attorney. He decided not to testify. At this point, I think his decision not to testify was freely, voluntarily, and intelligently made. So having said that, let's talk about